And, oh goodness, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dogs and cats, elephants and zebras. I'm awake, I just don't feel like I'm awake. I've been up all day. As you can, well, I don't know if those are clean dishes, those are dirty dishes. And then I'm cooking again, but I'm making this video. Ooh, sorry, Maggie. Maggie the cat is in my lap. She's not very into the camera, are you? Hey, Maggie. Hey there, Maggie. How you doing? Yeah, you're a pretty girl. Anyway, so Maggie's like, exactly what was that, Daddy? So I want to make this about high school, not about my high school, my high school at home. I wasn't there very much. I wasn't there very long. I just wasn't, you know. But yeah, and it's all on my shoulders. Same with middle school, all on my shoulders. But anyway, I was talking to somebody from back, not from my home high school, but one of the other place I was at. I was in like, I think 5 different places growing up. None of them were fun, although the next to the last one was actually sad to say, but it was better than my home life. But the last one I was in, um, I don't want to say the person's last name. Um, his first name was Jim, and he was an army brat like myself. And I'm getting dings. People are trying to talk to me on Facebook. And just give me. I've loaded a bunch of pictures. I uploaded a bunch of pictures today. I scanned them. This new printer I have. I've had it for a little while, but it scans really fast. I don't have to sit there and wait for 20 minutes for one picture to scan. So it's nice. So I've been able to put up some pictures, and I shared some pictures from that time period of my life with this one particular person whose name I'm not going to mention. Neither first nor last names. But during that time period, I used to fish. I used to be one of the kids who liked to go fishing, fish for catfish. Um, I just liked fishing. Do I fish much now? Not really. I live in a different place, different state altogether, different culture, a much better place. And people up here tend to fish with lures. That's what I've noticed. Of course, there's a lot of trout fishing up here, so you use flies, but you can use lures. You can use you know live bait. You can use whatever you want. I mean, a trout's still a fish, but I haven't caught anything. Excuse me. It's been raining all day today. Got up into like the upper 50s. I think some places on the coast got up to like the low 60s. Jeez. This is New Hampshire, people, and it's January. Where's the cold? Where's the snow and ice? Anyway, so this kid Jim, again, I'm not going to mention his last name. Um, he and I don't know. I guess it was summertime, or it was a weekend, and we were up walking out past the. They had this place called the farm. It was basically a really big garden. It wasn't much of a farm, but they also had cattle out there and other livestock, chickens, a couple of pigs. They had a hog and a sow. Now this here hog, he was friendly. And he loved back scratches. I remember I was in the pen one day and I was scratching his back. and I was between him and the fence. And he's like, "Oh, that feels so good." And he starts leaning up against me, and I'm like, "No, not between me and the fence. No, no, no." So I stepped out. But anyway, Jim and I guess it was getting lunchtime or dinner time. We decided we were going to take a shortcut. Instead of going down the road, we were going to take the creek back up to the dorm. And now back then I didn't say creek, I said creek. But things change. Anyway, so the the old man out there that who ran the farm, like I said, he had a sow and a hog, and the sow had piglets. A sow and her piglets. It's like a bear and her cubs. You don't want to mess with them. I live in bear country now, so thankfully we don't have grizzlies up here, but we do have black bear. So we're looking. We knew we were told that she had a hard time giving birth. So we're um, looking in the pigsty, looking to see if we saw the sow or the piglets. There's no camper top in the back, or an old, like you'd put a camper top on a pickup truck, and the old boy had it out there, for shelter because there was no shelter in the one style, only in the one with the hog, and we didn't see nothing. No sow, no piglets, no nothing. You're like, okay. So we jumped across the fence. Yeah, and we jumped across the fence. I couldn't do that today. And we're just lazily walking across the sty. And all of a sudden we feel the earth shake. Boom. Hear this sow snorting. She had the ugliest teeth. And we both looked, it was like synchronized swimming. It was like synchronized swimming. We both looked back, looked at each other. We were like, oh no. And she wasn't but 2 or 3 feet behind us at this point, and there was only a few feet that we could. We really, we basically ran. So we're only taking like 2, 3, 4 steps, and there was a chute that was for piglets, not for a full size hog. So it was really narrow, and we put our hands on the side of that, and we both went right in, and we looked at each other like, "Oh, we're lucky." But we used to take night hikes, and um, there were a couple of places we used to go. Uh, One, there was an old, like a summer cabin back up by Clutter Creek, and sometimes we'd go up there like at night. Richard Garza was one of the staff, and he was cool to go with on night hikes because he'd tell scary stories. And sometimes we might finagle some marshmallows or something from the mess hall. But we didn't call it the mess hall, but it was the kitchen. Now, when I was first there, we ate in the dorms. But that meant a separate cooking staff for each dorm, running the refrigerators, freezers, stoves, ovens for each dorm. And eventually I don't know if they built the mess hall while I was there, or if it was already there. But then we eventually just all started eating in there. And it wasn't a very good time, but there were some fun times. And another night hike we would walk up the road past the mess hall over into Anderson Division. And the Anderson Division, they were maybe older and tougher kids than we were. My best friend Wes from back home, he wound up in Anderson Division, and he was only there a week, and they kicked him out. And this place didn't kick you out until your insurance ran out. So they'd keep you, and back then they'd keep you for years. And they only kept him a week, and they kicked him out. Sadly, Wes committed suicide a few years later. But I remember seeing him. I remember he was walking down the road with some kids from Anderson, and I'm not going to get into all that. But We had two schools. There was Barkley School and Anderson. Anderson was sort of the high school, although we were middle school and high school kids it was Barkley Hall, and then there was it Barkley School or Woodlands School? I don't remember because it was Woodlands Division, and then each dorm had its own name. There was Building Number 5, which were like kids that would normally go to like a psychiatric hospital. They were in Building Number 5. The rest of us, we were like, well, you can be tried as you can go to court, you can go to juvie hall, you can go to court and be tried as an adult, or you can go to this place. Now, the second time I was there, I said, try me as an adult. Send me away. I'm not going through that again. In all honesty, it probably would have been just about the same. But anyway, I like taking the night hikes. The night hike down past the mess hall, I have to go over a fence there too. And it was a trail that went down to Coletta Creek, but it was closer to the highway. And as you got down there, eventually there would be a cross trail. And over down the highway, down by the Coletta Creek, was a old country store. Oh, excuse me. Somebody might get some money or some. They weren't supposed to, but would walk down there. I'd go get my chewing tobacco or my Copenhagen dip. Copenhagen is dip. I don't remember what I chewed. Levi Garrett, Red Man. I don't think I chewed Red Man. Levi Garrett. And one chew I liked was Mel Pouch, which I don't know if they even make that anymore. That was like pure tobacco. Came in a little plug, and bite a piece off, and it would really expand. So, when I first got it, I'm like, that little thing, huh? Bite it out, and it would expand in my mouth. I'm like, my goodness. But AJ Stafford was our dorm supervisor in Barkley Hall. I eventually was transferred to another dorm. I was getting older, and remember the good times, Seamus. Yeah, it's easy to remember the bad times because there were a lot of them, and they were pretty much every day, all day. But I remember once Bernard Green, aka Pegleg Green, he was the principal of Barkley School. Me and some other kid, I don't remember who it was. I don't know. We'd been out messing around, and he gets us into his office, and he's yelling at us. And, I can make it so hard on you in that dorm that you run away. I'll make you run away. Oh, really? Didn't do it, did you, bud? Sometimes we won. Yeah, we would win. And some of us have won. And a lot of you guys are still, you're probably retired now, but, you're the same kind of crazy idiots that you were when you worked there. You haven't changed none. But anyway, like I was saying, I like to fish. I had this fishing pole. Now I regret leaving it at my mother's house in Texas. It wasn't any good, but I still had it all these years later. I was out, we were out by, they called it Lake Marie. It was a stock pond or a pond. Stock tank is another name for it. And there was this one place I rarely fished over there. I did it a few times, and there was a lot of lily pads over there. I cast in, I used 50-pound test. This is like a medium weight saltwater rod and reel with 50-pound test on, because you get some pretty good sized catfish out of there. And I catch this catfish. I hooked him. I'm reeling him back in. He's fighting it. I get him up to a point where he gets up on top of the lily pads just for a second, and then he sinks back down. He was a big one. I don't think I ever caught a fish that big. And broke the tip of my rod, completely stripped the gears in the rod. It was a red rod, and I don't remember the brand or color of the reel, but I kept it all those years sort of as a souvenir, like the one that got away. Um, Linda M. Linda M. I believe she was from Dallas originally, or that area, the DFW area. She was my girlfriend. Um, we had what they call socials. Now, to me, a social is when you get together, you talk, you eat, you hang out. But there was this one staff member in the girls' dorm, and she was one of the staff that would always be a part of the socials. Everybody get up and dance. Get up and dance. Man, we don't get enough. We don't get that. We don't have many opportunities to hang out with the opposite sex. Come on now, let us hang out and talk. No, get up and dance. Get up and. You couldn't say that to them, or you get smacked upside the head. But that's what we wanted to do. And one of the house parents in Barclay Hall, her son eventually played professional baseball for the Atlanta Braves. And she and the other house parent used to joke about using rectal thermometers orally on the kids. Really. I mean, I went AWOL one time. It was me, one kid from the dorm. I don't remember who he was, and the rest of the kids were from Anderson Division. It was a whim. These kids are walking. We're all walking to breakfast, right? And this group of kids from Anderson Division, they start walking toward Woodlands Division. This is past the mess hall that we were close. And they're like, "Hey, we're going to take off. We're going to go AWOL. You want to come along?" I'm like, "Hey, yeah, why not?" So we get up to where we walk up to the vocational area, where two vocational buildings where there's a flatbed truck. One of the kids is like, "Yeah, I know how to drive." So one of the kids was able to get the key to the flatbed, and he's like, he turns out, he runs into a couple of things, and one of the other kids like, "Get the blank out of the way! You don't know what you're doing." And takes over. And we got to it was either Kennedy or Nixon. There, two towns always get them mixed up because they both have the same. They both have names of presidents. And then we started hitchhiking, and this old sheriff, sitting in a Dairy Queen. Dairy Queen's in every little town in Texas. He sees us, he sees a bunch of teenagers, and he's like, I don't want some bunch of these teenagers walking through my town. He says, "Where you boys going?" "We're going to see our grandma in San Antonio." "Oh, okay, well, why don't you all get in my car? I'll drive you out of town." And we're like, okay. So everything turns out cool. I mean, town is, what, a couple of 100 yards away. And we make it to the old quarry where Fiesta, Texas is today in San Antonio. And from hitchhiking. And next day, well, me and one kid who was not from my dorm, we started walking back into San Antonio that night. Well, the other kids, we had all tried to turn ourselves in to the security guard at the quarry. He was like, "Get the what out of here." So we're like, and we all tried to sleep on mounds of gravel. I'm like, "You can't do this, man." Well, it turns out the other kids eventually did get themselves turned in that night. And they got a dry bed to sleep in at Juvie Hall in San Antonio. And the next morning, me and this other kid who were trying to get back to San Antonio, we were able to flag down a cop and turn ourselves in. And we sit there in Juvie Hall all day long, from like sun up till after sundown. And in this place, they knew, they had been told that morning, if not the night before, because the other kids had turned themselves in the night before, that, hey, you have kids up here you need to come get. Now, one kid was over 18, or he was 18, I don't know. He said, I ain't going back there. I am not going back there. So you're 18, can't make you go back. But they brought a van up, took us back, and we had all talked about, well, if we ever turn ourselves in, we're not going to say anything about where the truck is that we stole, unless they guarantee not to put us in isolation. And one of the kids just pipes up when asked, oh yeah, it's here. We took 2 canoe trips, one down Coletta Creek and one down the Guadalupe River. Sometimes we go to the cinema in Victoria. We used to get near beer. Some of us did anyway. I was a kicker, I mean. I would have preferred a beer, but I'd go for a near beer. I listened to KKYX AM out of San Antonio, and Kick AM and Kick FM out of Houston. One of those stations is still around. One of the Kicks is still around. The other Kick, I think the Kick AM is now News Talk, but back then it was country. And the 4th station I listened to was KRBE out of Houston. I would listen to CBS Radio Mystery Theater. I loved that show. And there was Richard Garza, the staff member, and myself and 2 or 3 other kids. One of the kids was JJ. We would all like hang out for that hour in our room and just listen to the radio show. And it was cool with the staff because we were cool with the staff. Up to that point anyway. Eventually, I'm like, I'm not going to put up with this stuff. You have one set of rules for yourselves, another set of rules for us. And when we tell you you couldn't handle this, you agree, you admit you couldn't handle what we were going through. You make us go out there for an hour, hour and a half doing exercises when it's 105 degrees on a blacktop with no shade, and you're just walking around in the shade, but we're in the hot burning sun, and you're just having a good old time. Kids are, their skin's going dry and clammy, they stop sweating, and so, but I wasn't always a good kid in there, but there were times, initially I was a pretty decent kid, but eventually I'm like, I'm not going to put up with this anymore, the hypocrisy. But anyway, that's all I want to say. This is a long video, so yeah, y'all have a wonderful January.